Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Welcome in to the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. And it's a pleasure to bring in Jim Scarcelli like we do every single Monday, the former Wolverine and Scar right off the bat. You know, I was going to ask you last week, true or false, you were in line for the Golden Bachelor, but you declined the invitation.
You know, I took his scholarship, man. Mel Owens was an outside linebacker. And when he left, I came in. I met him a few times. And my roommate got his number 53. Great player. My position coach used to talk about him all the time, how, you know, he was a good player. And I used to look at film of him. He was an inside backer for a while. Then he moved him to outside. He had a good NFL career. He was on the championship team there in 1980. And I know, I talked to Wangler and, guys that know him. And so that'll be cool. I've never watched the show, but you know what? I'm going to finally watch the show. We got a Michigan guy on there, and I'll be tuning in.
Yeah, well, I'll be interested to get your breakdown. You know, there's shows that just have there's post games of the Bachelor, so we'll see what you think of the how he divvies up the roses and how he goes about it. I can't wait. I think I'll have to watch it too after you said that. Well, we got a lot going on. There's the big time news, as most people know. It will also, and it may be included in what we have up here, toughest road game. Scar's going to give his thoughts on what team he thinks is going to be the toughest to beat away from Ann Arbor, and hiding the lead, spring film. It's exciting, it's fun, it's educational, and Scar is locked and loaded on a spring film, so I can't wait to see where he goes there. But we have to start with this news that came out today about Sherrone Moore. For those that missed it, Sherrone Moore expected to be suspended for 2 games this upcoming season. I'd say at least, but we know 2. Those 2 games, Central Michigan on September 13th, and then a week later, September 20th at Nebraska. These are self-imposed sanctions for the Connor Stallions scouting stuff. Michigan trying to get out ahead of it by self-sanctioning. Also, they have been off the road during this recruiting period. The same idea here, self-sanctions, and that the NCAA, they can come back and say, no, we want more. So we don't know. But Scar, maybe this puts an end to the Stallions piece of the whole thing when it comes to the NCAA, which would then, you could turn the page on it.
Yeah, Ward Manuel and our lawyers and Sherrone Moore and those people are talking to the NCAA. They've got a feel for where we're at. And if this is a way to get ahead of it and take a minimum hit and bury it and move on. And like I said, when Jim was the coach, and I just believe it, when you have the right kind of program, and I don't think Sherrone Moore is going to be the play caller. He's not calling the defense. Looks like he's delegating to Chip and that whole deal. And if it's a collaboration, but anyway, if you have the right program and you delegate, your presence on game day it's not a huge factor.
You made a point 2 years ago that exactly what you said, Sunday through Friday is when everything's getting done. The difference in this a self-imposed sanction is that Sherrone can't be around at all during the week either. So it's not just on Saturday. So it'll be 2 weeks, and I guess he'll just be sitting at home doing nothing, twiddling his thumb. So that does make it a little bit more interesting, or I don't know, more difficult. Yeah, I would say it would be more difficult. I wonder, they did this for 6 games during the national championship series season. If that experience would help Sherrone Moore, I guess it can't hurt with just knowing how to, the jump through the hoops and get through it for 2 weeks.
Thing though, Denny, he can look at film and he can be on the phone. He just can't be at the football building, right? He can't.
Yeah, I would assume that he would be able to be on the phone. Who knows?
So, I was a head coach, a defensive coordinator, and I believe that as a high school coach, your game is on Saturday and Sunday as a high school coach. getting your game plan together for Monday. So when you walk in Monday, you know what this guy does, how you're going to attack it, how you're going to adjust, what are their strengths and weaknesses, you know, everything about the opponent and how are you going to attack them schematically. And that's your game. I believe that I always thought it was, you know, as a coach. And then you implement it through the week and you get your team ready mentally, this, that, or whatever. And okay, Sherrone's not, and then Jim was there at practice. Okay, Sherrone's not going to be there, but he will be able to look at film and he will be able to have discussions about the game. He'll talk to Wink. What's the plan? How are we doing it? He'll talk to Chip. What's the plan? You know, how are we doing it? What are their strengths and weaknesses? He'll be able to look at it. He'll be able to sit there all day looking at film. So he is going to have input on the game plan and the minds. You know, the thing he won't be able to do, though, every day is get his team, give the speech to them every day in practice, before practice, and every day at the end of practice to get the mindset of your team. That was the one thing I found as a head coach. You know, you can be an assistant coach, a coordinator, but when you're the head coach, you set the tone and the tempo and the mindset of your team. You know, what do you say to them before they come to practice, and what do you say to them at the end of practice? And he's obviously not going to give the pregame speech. He won't, because Jim was able to talk to him at the hotel before they got on the bus. So essentially, I mean, it was really minimal what Jim's not being there on the sideline. But again, if you have great assistants, Denny, and that's why it's so important, you hire great assistants, and you have guys that are going to talk to the team and get them mentally right, then it can be damn near irrelevant if you really hire great assistants. And your coordinators are your key guys. The defense and offensive coordinators will be the crucial guys that will probably be getting things right mentally.
And you look at all those coaches, none of them have been head coaches, but you wonder with the return of Biff Poggi, he's not an assistant coach, but I guess an analyst, but he has been a head coach, the consigliere. I would imagine that he would be able to help a lot with this part. Poggi.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does. But you know, you again, you have a great spring, you have a great fall camp, and you recruit great players, and you've got everybody knowing what they're doing, and you hire great coordinators, and you know, game day I honestly felt when we had our program running as a good high school coach that my offensive coordinator could have just pulled the play out of a hat. If the players are coached up, they know how they're blocking every front they're going to see. They know, you know, what their blocking rules are. We can block any front that they throw at us. And anyway, that's just how I felt. But it's interesting, the two games that he picked, I'm trying to put myself in his position. So I think, you know, if he has the young quarterback, it does make a little sense to be there maybe with him the first two games. You know, if that's what he's thinking, first home game, I'm there with him, get this guy comfortable. I'd question, you know, for me, the conference game, whatever factor you think that the head coach being there is, the conference game at Nebraska or at Oklahoma, you know, the conference game is a hell of a lot more important. Winning a Big Ten championship, you can lose a couple games, but if you win your Big Ten championship, you can still, win a Big Ten championship and still qualify for the playoff. So I just wonder what that thinking was from that standpoint.
Yeah, well, knowing, you know, Brett Venables is a, you know, decorated defensive guy, and you look at Oklahoma, they're going to be more of a defensive-oriented teams. Maybe you look at Nebraska, maybe they'll be more of an offensive. That'll be their strength. And so he thought maybe that, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know how much thinking went in there. I also wonder if Ward Manuel said, look, you're a Oklahoma alum, you know, we want you on the sideline going back home. I don't know if that, you know, played into it at all, possibly, maybe. But I think what you're talking about, having potentially a true freshman quarterback, and now you're not going to have your head coach for the first two games. At least you'd have him for those first two. And we don't know. The NCAA could come back over the top and say, no, it's going to be 4 games. And so we'll be talking, which makes it, the 2 seems doable. 4 seems like a pretty big deal. All of a sudden a month away without being there. That seems, more, I know it's double, but there's no reason to say that that's what it's going to be. It's like this. We had to wait and see what they were going to do. Let me ask you one more question, Scar, about this, because there's a lot of people. You even go back to 2023. They wanted to fight the NCAA. Screw the NCAA. Don't do anything. Don't give them anything. Don't self-impose nothing and fight them. My point about that is that it worked in 2023. It worked in that I think that they did the first 3 games. I think that helped them out for the final 3 games. They had went through it. So that championship season, who knows what would have happened if they didn't, suspend him for the first 3, and then he would have been suspended for the last 3. So it worked. And if you watch the NCAA over the history, that's what they want. They want you to fall on the sword. They want you to admit you are wrong. They want you to put the penalties on yourself. And then that helps when it ultimately comes down to the final penalty. But you said it, the lawyers, and they're talking about all of these things, and so we're not privy of that. But just from the fan aspect, there are a lot of fans that say, hey, if they would have fought those first 3, Harbaugh could still be here. They should have been fighting. They got to stop being so soft. I mean, what's your thought on that idea that they should?
The first thing, we don't know what Ward and the lawyers know. We don't know that.
Right.
Just like you said. We don't know what they know, to say, yeah, we're going to fight. And they've you got to have faith in Ward that he listened to counsel. The lawyers have talked it out. They said, they went through all the scenarios and this is the best decision long-term. Let's just bury it, be done with it. We've got good coordinators. We're going to move on from that standpoint. And, Denny, the thought process that, we went through so many games without Jim on the sideline, and then we had the successful team that we had, and late in the year, this, that, you got a great quarterback, you got a run game, you got a defense. Again, pull the freaking plays out of a hat if you got the right people. That's how I felt about some of my teams. And some, even me as a defensive coordinator, let's just line up in our vanilla stuff and just beat them. I don't have to get all cute. Or, my offensive coordinator, we don't got to get cute and do a bunch of stuff. Let's just let's run our stuff. They can't stop it. So we don't have to get all cute sometimes, and whether all these some of these decisions that you think people make, we get great quarterback play like JJ gave us. So anyway, I like the plan. We have to have faith with that Ward and the lawyers are know what they're doing. Let's get it behind us. And they probably looked at other scenarios, how other people were treated after jumping out first like that. So let's get it done with.
And they certainly had thought about the possibility of suing them at every turn, or turning up their nose at him, all of those things. So you will have thought about those things if you're Michigan. They didn't just say, no, let's just go belly up. That's going to be the way to go. Let's not think about any of the other, let's not run any of these other things through to see how it would go. So
it'd be interesting too, Denny. Jim, I know how Jim thinks. I played with him, and Jim is all about promoting his assistant coaches. He remember how every game was a different darn coach initially, and then he had 2 at one game. So it'll be interesting to see if Sherrone gives the opportunity, to someone else. Sometimes you have a non-coordinator in that position. It does make it easier for the coordinators to just simply focus on what side of the ball they have to focus on.
I don't know Harbaugh like you, but it seems like Harbaugh did not want to give up those 3 games at the beginning of the 23 season. That he didn't like that. He didn't like that.
No, he didn't like it, but I'm talking about highlighting his assistant coaches.
No. You're right. You're right about that.
And they all have that on their resume that they were head coaches at Michigan.
He made the best of it. He made the best of it.
Yeah, he's always about thinking about promoting his assistants.
The recruiting piece of it, where Michigan, they can be out visiting players right now, and they are not out on the road. So this is a part again of the self-imposed sanctions. in the past, they would take away scholarships. Now they have a 105 roster limit that's being looked at, could be grandfathered in. I don't think because of the integrity of the team. I don't, I don't think the NCAA can say, no, you're only going to be able to have 90 or 95 roster. That doesn't seem like they could do that. Is that the way you
hopefully they don't do that. And the punishments we are implementing ourselves are the best way to go.
Yes.
It's like, okay, we're not going to recruit a little bit, because at the end of the day, the closer you get to signing day, what's in the bag. So whether you had a couple phone calls or you took the kid out to dinner here in May, yeah, it's important to develop those relationships. But I think the closer we get to signing day, once we're back able to be on the road, there's other things that are more important now than 5 years ago.
Speaking of the bag, it also appears that Michigan is going to wait and see what they come down with the revenue sharing and if there's going to be a salary cap, because the word is that they are not promising NIL money or exact figures to certain players, where other teams, it seems like that they're like still just forging ahead, like business as usual, and they'll cross that road if they end up coming down where there'll be a salary cap or the revenue sharing when they get to it. The idea is maybe there'll be a bunch of flips. Michigan is sitting back, and when these teams are going to be over the limit or something, that Michigan will be able to swoop in. I don't know. It seems pretty muddled to me. I would think, and I know that they have probably thought of these scenarios as well, that if you're right in the middle of recruiting season, how could they come out with a revenue sharing and say, no, well, you've already promised this money. Now you got to take that back because you have to be under a certain.
Well, I kind of respect what Michigan's philosophy is, Danny. They're basically saying, look, if we can't commit to it and honor it, we're not going to present it to the kid. And these other guys out there that are saying, yeah, we're going to promise you this, and if the NCAA screws you, well, then you got screwed, but you're still here with us. It sounds like that's right. Isn't that the way?
Yeah, I think that is the idea, but I also think that is a judge going to say, well, you went already, right in the middle of all this. I could, just like they're going to grandfather the roster in, if you've already spent money on 20 players, you're going to say, hey, how can you go and tell us we're out there promising all this money? How are you going to pull the rug from out from under us? So I don't know. It's an approach. It's a tactic that Michigan's using. Maybe it'll work. But I don't know. I just
the recruits will have to evaluate that. Do they want to deal with maybe, or you know what I mean? They got to deal with those decisions.
Well, it is. It's what can you do? The weird part is when I think about it, we get that the revenue sharing, whatever it's going to be, 20 million, how much you have to commit, but after that, you have your NILs, and that has nothing to do with the revenue sharing. So you can, pay each guy $100 million in theory if you wanted to. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me that they're waiting for the revenue share for the school when the collectives can pay anything that they want, unless that's what they're saying. They're saying we think that there's going to be a collective bargaining. We think that there's going to be a cap. So we're just going to wait and see on that. And so we'll see how effective that is. Let's answer some questions, Scar, before we go ahead. Ferris says the bigger news is Santa Ono. That's Michigan's president. He's leaving. He says university presidents don't just leave like that. I think this is more academic and political, but football is a factor, according to Ferris. What do you think?
No, I think that the football is winding down and we're moving away from it and getting done with it. I'm putting myself in his position. I was an athletic director at a small, but I think the football part is moving on down the road. Academics are good there at Michigan. I think it's the stuff with all the protesting and all the stuff and how he was getting pushback from regents. Who is he getting? Does he have the freedom to run the university that he wants to? Can run it the way he wants to run it? Is he getting pushback from all the politicians, the regents? I've kind of looked into it and sniffed around a little bit, but I think that's just my gut, that he's tired of dealing with the headaches of the regents and in the pushback and how he thinks whatever. So that's my take.
Yeah, and the politics that are specific to this area, if you look down at Florida and they don't have any of that going on right now, you say, why not? If you can hit the eject button, why not do it? I don't know. So
yeah, it sounds like it's the protests and all that is a no-win situation here. And you're right. You want are they having that in Gainesville, Florida, the way they're having it in Ann Arbor, Michigan? Those are headache questions he has to answer. Coaches look at a job. And presidents look at a job too. What are all the positives and negatives of a certain community?
And you sure do. To the point, though, you like the thing about Santana. I think everybody would say he was pro sports. He was pro football. He was pro athletics. And that's not a small thing. That was good. Schlissel, I mean, you could have handed him a football and a basketball, and I'm not sure he could have told you what the difference was between the two. And so, for Michigan football fans, the part of the next president, they'll want to know if this is going to be somebody that's going to be pro sports or not.
My gut instinct was, from an athletics standpoint, if I'm an AD or I'm a coach, I would be good with Santa Ana as my guy. If I was a coach or a athletic director, who would be the interim head coach? That's
head star. What could it be, Poggi?
I don't know. I don't know if that's, he's there, but I like the idea what Jim did, though, Danny. I do. I like promoting and giving your assistants, because again, you leave your coordinators alone unless you want to let one of them do it for to have it on their resume. But
all of Michigan's defensive staff has been defensive coordinators. They all have that on their resume. So the first question would be to Wink. Hey, Wink, you want to be the coach for 3 games? Or if Wink says, look, I just like calling the plays. Why don't you have somebody else? I think that would be his first.
Well, yeah, it's interesting how you do it. Is that guy going to be the guy that speaks to him before and after practice every day? Is that what? He has to make that. Sherrone Moore has to make that decision. Do I want it to be one guy? Do I want one guy to represent this team for those 2 weeks? To talk to him before practice, to talk to him after practice, to talk to him at the hotel before they get on the bus, to talk to him at the stadium before they run on the field, or do I want to divvy that up? And or do you want to do what Jim did and give your guys and have maybe he probably had they all had opportunities to speak. If I was doing it, I would have different guys given opportunities to speak at certain days. I had so much faith in many of my assistants. I'm sure Sherrone does too. And then the big decision is: do you go for it on 4th down? Or do you punt it? Do you kick the field goal? Do you go for it? There's only a couple of decisions in a game, that the head coach has to make. Otherwise, you're, and then those decisions have to be based on whoever that guy is. What does he think the coach would do?
Let's give you some quick hitters. Mustafa says we don't respect Raiola. That's why we chose Nebraska.
I hope you're right, man. He's going to be year 2. I have it as a tough game. I have USC and Nebraska as the 2 toughest road games.
Oh, there you
he's
go.
Going to be, yeah, he's going to be. I can't differentiate between the 2. They're going to be both brutally tough games. Going, flying 4 hours and playing at the Coliseum, and then playing at a hostile. Nebraska. We'll have a lot of fans. The one thing about going to SC, they don't sell out. We'll have 30,000 people there.
Wow.
I believe that. When we go, we won't have 30,000 in Lincoln though, but we'll have 30,000 when we go to the Coliseum.
David Adi is talking Stallions. Do you have any comments on Connor Stallions and that the Michigan fans that are still putting him on a pedestal? You have any thoughts there?
Yeah, you kind of would like to get some separation from that. I kind of agree with you that, listen, there's size to that argument, but it doesn't really do you any good to have him hanging around. You know what I mean? I kind of like the idea of pushing away from that history, and good luck, Connor. We've been through it. Good luck in your coaching and your what did he call it? The Bible. What did he have? The
manifesto.
Good luck with your manifesto. I like when he was coaching at Mumford, 0-9 Mumford, and trying to build a program. Go take a high school program, kid, and build it. But
yeah,
I like the separation.
I'm not a fan of Connor Stallion. So the Michigan fans, look, everybody can, I think they just have the football's supposed to be fun. So a lot of people are, having fun with Connor Stallions. But I don't know, is it ironic that one of the games is CMU and that's where he had his whole clown act on the sideline with the Groucho Marx routine and the, Bozo the Clown stuff that he was doing? So anybody that could still like this guy after what he did at Central, I feel like there's half of the people out there are still like, why are they doing all this over Jim just buying a couple cheeseburgers for somebody? And Stallions, that wasn't even him at Central. There's still feels like there's thousands of people that, that's how they feel. But hey, again, they're just having fun. And so they don't care if they don't want to hear anybody, tell them or break it down to them. They're like, I don't care. I like Connor Stallions. And I like that he was on the sideline because you can't prove it or something. So there you go. All right. A couple, no Santa, Santa's heading south for the winter. Here is Triple S is worried that the NCAA won't respect the U of M South.
Hopefully Ward and our lawyers have had some discussion and they feel good that this will be enough. Nebraska is a real threat this year, and U of M. Can you read the rest of that statement, Danny?
Oh, I'm sorry. This one says Nebraska is a real threat, and U of M can't afford to be without coach for more than those 2 games. I'm looking at 9-3 as the ceiling with the 2-game suspension. Any more, and it may be 6-6.
Yeah, well, I don't put a lot of weight in the games we won with or without Jim Harbaugh when we went 15-0, and I don't put a lot of weight in it this time around with Sherrone Moore too. That's just how I feel about the staff he put together. That his presence is not going to be a huge factor. And I said the exact same thing. You know it, Denny, when Jim Harbaugh was gone, right? So I'm consistent in my beliefs of that. If you have the right program and you have the right leader, you've delegated, you've hired good people. So.
Yeah, and about the playoffs now and in predictions, what anybody's thinking, and the Vegas line is at 8. Is it 8.5 for Michigan? So as we sit right now, you need to get to 10 wins. My prediction in May is 9 wins right now. So that is just short, I think, of the college football playoff, but also a chance to, get in if you win one of those games. So
Danny, we secure the ball and get slightly better than average quarterback play, we can win every freaking game. Okay. Secure the ball, slightly better than average quarterback play in the Big Ten. We can win every game we play. That's how I feel. Our defense we got a lot of dudes. I want to get on this film in a minute whenever you're ready.
Good. Okay. Well, I got 2 things that I want to tell everyone, and that will be pretty quick because it's about Quick Cut. We want to thank them for the video and analytics. You want to analyze and break down film? Quick Cut, video and analytics. That's the way to do it. And one more thing. We're rolling still with the Maize and Blue Review. And Maize and Blue Review today, you can join up and get instant access. And what you can do is you can know everything that's going on behind the scenes. Plus, you get a great community to kick around Michigan sports all day and all night. Go to michigan.rivals.com to get that done. That's how you do it. And so with that, we are ready to look at a little bit of film, which is exciting and educational and a lot of fun when it comes down to it.
You got the film on there, Denny?
It is rolling. I'm watching it. I'm watching kickoff right now.
Good. Okay. So I like to see what, we've got the rule now where these guys only get a 5-yard start here. That's been in for a year now. I like to see what Michigan's doing over here. They have a unique situation. They've got 6 guys here on this front wall. It's just, again, coaching and the schematics of everything. It looks like they're a 5-5 deal. Yeah, they've got 5 on this side, 5 on this side. This is one of the things that's hard to coach is kickoff because it's not really full go. You'll see guys running hard down, but they won't engage full go. It's hard to get a feel, but what you can feel is the speed. You see how the difference, Denny, here with some of these guys? You're looking at this as a coach, and you want to have you want to find out who could. You've got 40-yard time with Coach Truss, and then you've got 40-yard time on the field.
Do you want them running side by side, or you just want them all?
You want them all getting down there as fast as they can.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Anyway, that's one of the things that's hard to coach because you don't want to have the full speed collisions. So I'm just looking at how they're forming this up. And but we've been good on special teams, and you got to be able to avoid blocks, and that's that. Anyway, here's the first play. Bryce started out with the blue team. Benny looks like he's an improved player. I looked at 26. We're starting the first playoff here on defense in our nickel package. We've only got 2 D linemen in there. It's 1st and 10. And I don't like this stance here by this offensive tackle, Denny.
What number?
I look how far he is off the ball. You think that's a run play or a pass? It's 1st and 10.
That looks like a pass. That's a tip.
You're damn right it is. Come on, coach him up, Big Grant. He just told me it's not a run play by his stance. I'm an old, washed-up dude, and I just saw this first play. I'm like, that's a pass. And it's a pass. And we don't protect very good here. But Benny, you see Benny here on this play, just working a move right around that left guard. Who is that left guard there, Denny? Can you see the number?
I'll have to look. That was Sprague. That was in the.
I know that was Sprague showing runner pass by his depth, the depth in his alignment. Anyway, I'm looking at formations, and I think we have this is a popular formation that we ran a lot of. 1 tight end, 3 receivers, 1 back when we're in our nickel front. And I got this left guard. I got him circled because his protection is not very good here. But Benny, Denny, that's the big key to our defense. I've said it. I think our secondary is going to be as good as it's ever been. Linebackers are good. What are we going to do with these 2 guys here? Flat backs. I got this guy off the ball, high. He's telling me he's pulling or he's doing something. I mean, look, I got this left guard again circled.
Ben Roebuck, I think that is 73.
Let's see what he does here. He's pulling. He's off the ball. And, Danny, you look at these things as a defensive lineman. They look at, why are you off the ball? Is it pass or you're pulling? He's pulling so he can get out here and get some depth. But we block it pretty good. And when you can run this kind of play against our defense, that's good. I don't like the alignment. I don't like the adjustment here from Wink. I don't like this adjustment. I just think they have real good, easy blocking angles here and a kick out here. But again, Danny, in a scrimmage, sometimes you want to, some of it may be on purpose to put your defense in a bad position, to see how players react. 3rd and 9. Okay, here's something, Denny, that he talked about moving Barham to the edge, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is 3rd and 9, and he's got a 5-man front with 1 backer. So eventually he has his nickel package in the game. It's 3rd and 9. But he likes to do this sometimes. Wink, have a 5-man front with 1 backer instead of the nickel package where you have 4 men at the front and 2 linebackers. And then he'll bring Barham out here on an edge. So he has like 3 faster edge type guys. He's got an edge player here, and he's got a fast linebacker who gets a lot of edge work there. So you get more speed, pass rush. You got guys that can drop better because you have that type of deal. So that's one of the reasons when he said he's going to play him at the edge, it's in some of these type of situations. So the defense, we haven't really changed personnel. It's this. So what do we do on 3rd and 9? We're in a 5-1 look, and I've got him circled. I think he gets a little drop here. Yeah, anyway, we defend it. But anyway, I'm looking at some of the schemes and some players, and we do a good job in getting this tackled here. We're in a zone coverage. That's just great. There's nothing there. Wink likes to play a lot of zone. That play is dead. It's has no chance because we're in the perfect coverage for what they're doing. So I don't know. We still got this. I'm not big on 300-pounders here because after they block, they're not covered any damn kicks. But everybody does it. I don't agree with it. You know what I mean, Denny?
Well, you know better than than all of us by watching that.
You remember the Alabama-Auburn game where they ran it back? At the end of the game. Anyway, you got 300-pounders there. They're not covering a damn punt.
I got you.
I don't. But these guys do it. They're smarter than me, I guess. I wouldn't have no 300-pounders in there. Anyway,
you want guys that can go down and make the tackle.
I want guys that can block and then cover a damn punt.
So maybe some linebackers you would put there.
Anyway, here's 3 tight ends in the game. So the first group, we saw 1 tight end. And now this side, you've got 3 tight ends to start the game. And I like the adjustments, 1st and 10. Or no, let's see here. What are we doing here? Why do I got that guy circled? Let me see. He's off the ball. I kind of wonder why we're so far off the ball.
Is that legal?
Well, it's borderline, Denny. You've got to be, you can't be back so far. They give you sometimes the helmet into the waist of the offense of the center, and you go back too far, they can call a penalty on you.
Yeah, they do that in the NFL with the left tackle.
Yeah, high school coaches do it too. You can't be so far off because people do it to get an advantage when they're pulling.
Right.
There's advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
But this is we're going to run the power, man. We're going to run this. This is our best play. And we ran it earlier with the first group. We're going to block down. And I'm looking at some of these defensive linemen. I don't like this. It's good for our offense, but I don't like seeing defensive linemen I don't like seeing guys like this getting waxed out of there so much. You like to play right here at the line of scrimmage, and we're getting knocked. We're just getting cleaned out of there, man. Putting that linebacker, he's got to fill a big hole here. And we pick up yards, and Hausman makes a play. It's probably too much, though, against our defense. But Marshall has gotten bigger. This kid has to show he can block. Okay, this guy right here, I was taking a good look at him. He's I guess he's going in his in his 3rd year, but
junior year, yeah, 6'4", 235. He's listed at.
He's got to block, man. He's got to be a kid that can block. And they had him in, and who you saw a lot of is Tonelli. So Tonelli is he showed he can block. I'm watching 44. I wanted to watch Payne and see how's he playing double team. Same formation. Then they just flipped the formation. So Chip just flipped the formation. Quarterback is under center. So we saw both. We saw under center. We saw shotgun. Tonelli, he's blocking people here. Tight end, decently run play against our defense. I'm watching Payne here, and coaches are looking at this. How's he playing this, Denny? Espo is looking at this. Is he getting knocked out of there? See, I don't want my D lineman over here. You follow me?
It was a double team, but you think
I know, but you still got to try to sit down. You got to try to sit down.
All right.
You got to try to sit down. And the great, the Mason Graham is still playing right here.
Right.
Mason Graham is clogging all this up, and we're not getting movement back here. So this is why I'm watching 44. I'm watching 0. And you see how they're getting movement here? The offensive line has got too much movement on our front. So What did they pick up? 3 yards, 4 yards?
Yep.
It's too much. It's too much against our defense so it's bad on our defense. Here is now more 3 tight ends. We got them all to this side. So Denny, I'm going to tell you this right now. People are expecting big changes offensively. You're going to see we had Harbs and Moore, and you're going to have the same stuff. He wants a pound. He wants a smash. So you're going to see tight ends. You're going to see us. You play Michigan, you better stop these type of formations with 3 tight ends in the game. Okay, he's under center, got a deep tailback. And what's the down and distance? 3rd and 4. 3rd and 4 down and distance. And I think we've, let's see, we adjusted good. I've got adjust here. Actually, yeah, I think we've kind of adjusted. I like the adjustment here. Danny, this is defense. So much of it is just getting lined up properly. You've got to get, if they got 1, 2, 3, 4, they got 5 dudes over here, and only 2 over here, 2 here and 5 here. And this is the stuff that people at home aren't always looking at. It's like, okay, how are we lined up? Are we matched up to defend 5 dudes over here and 2 over here?
They look like they are, aren't they?
Yeah, it looks pretty. I'm looking at it. It looks pretty decent. I like 33. The hell's his name?
Nichols.
Nichols is blowing this thing up. Nichols is Wink is running a stunt. Okay, Wink is running a stunt here, and he's penetrating it. He's having him penetrate, so he's allowed to penetrate, and he's blowing up this tight end here. Is that Tonelli or 83? Who is that tight end? Could you see that number?
Not yet.
Anyway, he's got to try to cut him off from slamming in here, blowing this thing up. I mean, Nichols is blowing up the tight end, and he's also blowing up the guard. So he's taking out all this. You see that? All this dude here, number 10's got to do is come up and make the tackle. He's unblocked. This is Barry. He's unblocked. He's got no one there. 3rd and 4. Make the tackle, and he whiffs. So he kept the ball inside the defense, which is not terrible. But you'd like to try to make this play, get you off the field. But Nichols is blowing this thing up. I'd like to know who that tight end, because he's got to cut him off. So that's a good job by our running back there. Is that
miss? That's Marshall.
Yeah, he makes, this is what you want, Danny. This is what I want from my running back. Secure the ball and make a guy miss. Yep. Make a guy miss. Boom, make a guy miss. Get the first down. That's why he was so damn good against Alabama. 4th and 1.
That was Zach Marshall as that tight end there.
Okay, he's got a block. Adjust. I like our defense. We're smart. We're talking. These guys are communicating. I'm looking at all these guys communicating. Disguise. We're disguising on defense. We're a smart defense. We're adjusting. What's the formation? It's that same formation we saw. 2 tight ends here. Now they got 4 here and 3 here. Quarterback is in the pistol. What does that mean? It means something. It's different than under center, and they got to know it. The players have to know it. So, but we're disguising here. Watch how this thing plays out. And look at all this. See all these guys communicating? This is what I like, Denny. This is why some guys play and some guys don't, because of all this stuff happening right now. So they call the defense, they see a formation, and watch these guys. There's communicating, talking. He's disguising. This guy is pretending he's up in here. He's going to come. And at the last second, what do? Denny, we're running a defense that we ran in 1985. We ran this same damn defense. We called it angle strike. We're angling. Angle was to the strength or to the field. Slant was if we slanted to the weak side or to the weak side of the formation. You see how this is the strength of the formation? 4 guys here.
Yep. All the tight ends.
We would have called that we would have called that the strength of the formation. So we would have angle strike in 1985. This is the exact same thing we ran. I played this edge position here and here. So he's got it. Moore is coming underneath. This is 4th and 1. Moore is coming underneath because he knows he's coming late. He knows this guy is coming late, but they're not showing it. They're showing like he's coming here, and then maybe the defense is slanting left, but they're slanting right. So we slant to the right, and at the last second, he cheats up at the line of scrimmage and makes a play, and we get off the field. We got the ball for the offense. But you see how these guys are inverting here? These two guys, these two players?
Yeah.
All this is about disguising and trying to screw with the defense. See how these two guys are going back and forth?
That's a nice play by Jordan Young. I mean, he's a freshman coming in.
Yeah, it's a good. It isn't just the final result of the play; it's the design of it's the design of the defense. So I give Wink credit. Oh, and I like this big fella here, Zero
Williams, Trey Williams.
I'm looking. You just want. I'm looking at athletic ability. I'm looking at playing double team. I'm looking at. I like how I like his movement here. Watch him here. He doesn't make the tackle, but he's showing some speed and athleticism. His slant move. See how he's beating the center there or beating the guard?
Yeah. I mean, he was in the backfield.
Yeah, but Moore, see, this is all designed. Moore has to go inside here because he knows this guy's coming off the edge. And Michigan's defense or offense, they're giving this up. They're not blocking the edge here. Okay, they're not defending it. And the defensive coaches have to understand that on certain plays they're not defending it. So if you can make them pay for them not honoring and sealing the backside of their offensive play. You follow me?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, some teams do. So anyway, the enemy's looking at all this film. They're looking at those formations. But again, I feel that Sherrone Moore did the right thing by playing this game because if anything, for more than anything, this guy right here, if he's going to be our starting quarterback, he got to play in front of 50,000 people. So I always took the philosophy that it's better off getting the reps than let the opponent see some stuff. Great. I'd rather get this kid comfortable and get more game reps, So I agree with the decision of playing this game. 1st and 10, we're in a zone coverage here. We're in our base front. So Wink is back and forth. Again, I don't know if he was delegating, calling the defenses to maybe, I don't know. But here's your base defense. Three guys here. Can you see what number this guy is, Denny? I can't tell here, but you got your base front, 1st and 10. They're in a this is a tight end here, so they're in a 3-and-1 formation. Got a guy down here, but Wink is base against this formation, and the quarterback has to figure it out. Wink, we're disguising here, man. What are we in? Are we in man or zone, Denny? Look at Michigan. Look at those 3 players at the top.
Zone.
Are these guys in man or are they in zone? These 3 guys.
They look like they're in zone to me.
Well, how do you know? This is why we do a good job of this.
Because they're so far back? No?
Well, I don't know, but Wink does a good job. That's why we picked off the kid at Ohio State, Page. Right?
Yeah, so you don't know if they're in zone or man.
If you're good at disguising, and Wink does a good job with this. Michigan does a good job with disguising. Are we in zone? Are we in man? They're trying to screw with this kid's head. They want to create conflict just like the offense is creating conflict.
Why aren't we putting a man in motion on blue to see if
that's again, your good question. That's why you should be coaching.
Oh yeah.
But it ends up being zone and there's a coach. I guarantee you they coached it up. I'm just pumped up that the OG is back.
Yeah. That was a drop. When I looked at that, it was a good play by Metcalf there for the TJ Metcalf, but I also thought that was a drop and that Andrew Marsh could have had that ball. You tell me what you think.
Yeah, is it hitting the receiver in the hands?
I think it does. I mean, it's a little bit behind him. He has to lay down for it, but he should have had that.
And this guy just whiffs the
he may have tipped it, but I don't think he did.
Yeah, either way, it's yeah.
There's the OG. You
I knew Wink when he was about 220, man. 210.
I cut my sleeves off this week.
When he was coaching at Cincinnati with John Harbaugh. I knew him at the camp. He was lean and mean. Got all that money now. What do we got here? This is a base. This is the nickel package. Down in distance, 2nd and 10. And here's Barham here. This formation here, I thought Barham did a good job. This should have, they should have been able to run the football here against this defense alignment. And Barham just comes up and they should have been able to really run the football here. They got good angles. We're in a bad front for this, this alignment. And Barham comes up here, and this dude is he just comes up and crushes this thing and splatters it there and keeps it to a minimal gain. But look at the D line. Who's this guy right here, Denny? Is he getting knocked off the ball? That's 92, Big Ike. My guess, Denny, game one, that the starters are Ike and Benny. That's my guess.
Wow.
I'm just
you're coming in hot, Scar. I like it.
You got 44 and 0 are going to be competing.
Yeah.
Benny's going to be one of them, in my opinion. And then it's these other guys are battling. Again, I might be wrong on all of it. I don't know. I'm just going by what I've seen in this scrimmage. Ain't nobody open, man. Good coverage. You can't, don't evaluate a quarterback if there ain't nobody open. What are we doing here? 3rd and 13. We're in a nickel package, and we're not getting much rush. This is something this might be a little different. Chip is leaving a back in the block. We didn't do a lot of that. Yeah, see, we got to get Denny. We've been able to get Kenny Grant and Mason Graham. They gave us pressure here. We got pass rush out of these guys.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the big question I have is, are we going to, and what Wink might have to do, Denny, at times on 3rd and 13, if we're not getting it from Ike, is you might have to sub out a big fella and bring in another edge player, bring nickel in the game. You know what I mean? Take out Ike. That way you have 3 faster guys in the football game. You just have to get pass rush. It's hard to get it from a 350-pound dude, though.
Wink did that when he was with the Ravens.
Well, all 3 of those guys did it. McDonald, Minter, and Wink, they would all bring in edge players, to rush. Where are we at? Am I done here?
Is that the same punt formation?
Yeah, I think I'm done, Danny. That's enough for today. I just wanted to go get a little taste. I don't want to beat you up. We got a lot of film to look at then. And, just enough, get a little taste. Danny, you can realistically, I could look at every play. I could spend 10 minutes on each play. You want to evaluate every damn player. When I first started coaching, when I was first a defensive coordinator, Danny, I coached the whole defense by myself. I was one-man show. So, when you look at the film, you got to look, realistically, you got to look 11 times at every play because you got to look at every player. You know what I mean? What the hell did he do? So we could look at all those plays and really analyze every single player, but we'd probably be here for 2 hours to really analyze. And then that's only on defense. If we want to look at what did every player on offense, how were they blocking? How would every player on defense handle it? So realistically, you could look at every play 22 times if we wanted to evaluate every single player and every single play. And that they are, believe me, they're being evaluated. The players are, but they got 10 coaches and, but we'll look at it slowly and get a feel for what we got. I think, there's a lot going on. Tonelli, can he block? He might play. Marshall's got to block. I don't like showing the damn running pass with Sprague off the ball 2 yards. You know what I mean? Defenses aren't dumb. I know you're a 300-some-pound kid and you're 6'8", but you still you can't show that you're going to be. You got to make it think that you might run the football too.
Yeah, and I doubt that they're doing, dummy stuff to like fool the opponents just to say, hey, they don't even have their alignment right, to kind of throw. They're
No,
that's a
I mean, yeah, you're just going to do your normal stuff, and those are bad habits, I think.
yeah.
I used to tell my offensive line, coach, my guys, look, man, Denny, in general, a lot of offensive coaches, they think defensive coaches are stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, that we're not going to see the stance, we're not going to see the split, we're not going to see the little cheat. Just cheat them over a little bit, just cheat them up a little. We see all that, man. Smart players, smart coaches see that. So I don't want to, I just pointing it out, man.
I would like, I know, and maybe you can, it's my final question for you. So they mix and match up the offensive lines. And during the course of the other 14 practices, you'll have your first team offensive line, but they're moving so many guys around. I guess that's what spring is for. Why not, you get those 5 that
you don't know who they are yet, Denny. They don't know who they are yet. They're sizing them up. They're putting them into bad situations. Why identify? They don't have to identify that it's those 5 guys right now.
Yeah, I get it for the spring game. You wouldn't want completely dominate it.
I like the idea of throwing them in there and let's see how smart they are. Let's put them in some chaotic situations. Let's put them next to a different guy, and because what's going to happen in a game if a guy gets hurt? Okay, what happens now? Are we gonna punt? Are we gonna punt?
We're gonna panic.
You know what I mean? So I got to be able to talk to 50 in. I got to be able to talk to Diorio. I got to be able to communicate with who the hell's next to me.
We got. I'm just going ahead and looking at some of the comments here at the end.
Canelli looked like he was blocking. So if you can block, you got a chance as a tight end.
Babaloa.
Babaloa is a big athletic kid. The kid's supposed to be in high school, and he'll improve. But you can see the size and athletic ability. He's got to get thicker and stronger. Ain't no question there.
Yeah, I'll give you one on each side. I think Michigan's going to beat Ohio State next year, so that's not one of the losses. But I think that Oklahoma game, to me right now, that one's standing out as I look at it. Sure, you can make a case. I want them to win every single game, so it's not like, so should I just roll in and just say, let's go undefeated and everything else? But Johnny Mateer, that would be the reason. Being on the road. And Venables, he's got to win this game. That kind of thing. They got a nice.
Let's get Mikey Keene healthy.
Yeah.
24 starts. Let's get our 5-star kid rolling. He can get in and run the football with both of those guys. Jaden Davis did some decent things that we'll look at in that scrimmage. Let's get Davis Warren back. Let's get 4 guys rolling, and let's secure the damn ball. Our defense is going to keep us in every game, Denny. Our offensive line, our running backs, and our defense, let's be good in the special team. We're going to be in every game. Again, we just need average, slightly above average quarterback play. We can win them all. Okay, Mike McCray, former Michigan linebacker. He was a grad assistant at Notre Dame, coached at Michigan as an analyst. Yeah. Was at UMass with Don Brown. Anyway, he's this is how it goes, Denny. He's at Central State, Division II now. He just picked up a job. The point I'm making is he's a Michigan guy, and this is the grind that these guys got to go through to try to move up in the profession. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Don Brown got fired, and so I watch all the Michigan guys. Joe Bolden they got fired at Tulsa. He picked up another job somewhere. I'm always looking at the Michigan guys. Anyway, it's a grind, man.
Yeah,
everybody wants to talk about all the guys making all the big money, but guys like Mike McCray, he's out here grinding. I've been out here now 5 years, and it's just it is what it is. It's tough. And
I was gonna say Oklahoma also has an ace up their sleeve too, with a Michigan man, Jim Nagy, who worked all the years at the Senior Bowl and worked in the NFL. He's their GM. I also think that he's going to be a factor. I mean, it's not because it's Michigan. He's just good. He's good. I'm not saying that they'll beat Michigan because Nagy's, went to Michigan or anything. I'm saying I would imagine from what he was all about with the Senior Bowl and his NFL experience that he's a good GM. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we got the big thing with playing Oklahoma is Venables is a multi defensive front guy. Does a lot of different stuff. Normally teams, Wink does a lot of stuff too, but we have a pretty good foundation and it's kind of minimized. And you really have to have your offense ready for the teams that do so many different things. Another little thing I'm noticing out there, Denny, Indiana, a lot of people want Indiana guys. Because if you're going to hire a guy to build a program, people don't always want the guy that coached at at Notre Dame or Ohio State. A lot of guys, if you're going to hire a guy, you take someone who was part of a rebuild that was dog crap, and now all of a sudden they were decent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just noticing that the college guys, that there's a big demand for everybody involved with Kurt Signetti. So we want you really want to get Michigan to that point where everybody wants to hire Sherrone Moore's guys because we're winning.
Yes,
I just wanted to point that out.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's that time of year, good time to be a player because you're just maybe some of them are taking classes. I don't know how many of these guys work anymore. When I was playing, you either went to school or you had a little job. But these guys are making so much money doing, just being a player through NIL. Maybe they're just down there lifting weights.
Different story now.
Yeah, I was. I had some bullcrap jobs, man.
Video games and Mr. Spots. So yeah. That's what's going on now.
That's it. Getting fat, waiting for that nil check to come every month.
That's it. That's it. All right, Scar. Great job. Can't wait to talk with you next week.
More film. It's all good, Danny. Go Blue.
There he is, Jim Scarcelli. How about